What the hell was that? A toucan is loose in the audience. My next guests are Chicago-based music critics and hosts of the syndicated rock music talk show Sound Opinions. Please welcome Jim DeRogatis and Greg Kot. So much to talk about. First of all, it's great that you're here today because the Grammys were last night. The music business constantly changing. The Grammys sometimes can feel like this weird holdover from another time. What was your take on it last night?
You know, it's usually a train wreck. It's usually an ordeal. Get through 3.5 hours. But I kind of liked the little heavyweight boxing match that was going on between Amy Winehouse and Kanye West. You know,
right.
They kept, you know, Winehouse throws a right. Kanye throws a left.
It feels like these are authentic personalities, yeah. and sometimes, you know, Kanye's boasting. It's sort of compelling in a world, at a time when everyone's trying to be correct. It can be compelling, I think.
He's become sort of the Jack Nicholson of the Grammys. Everybody has to reference him, just like Nicholson at the Oscars.
Right, in that way, he's probably a genius. The show starts with Alicia Keys singing a duet with old footage of
a dead guy.
Well, Frank Sinatra, not just any dead guy, which wouldn't be as good. But okay, here's the curious thing. It feels like we've seen that before.
Oh, yeah, John Lennon and the Beatles in a virtual duet. You know, the Natalie Cole with the dad, you know, Nat King Cole duet. I mean, that's an old play, you know, but it was about honoring their 50 years, you know.
Right.
So but the thing was, they kept saying, we're going to talk about the future, we're going to talk about the future, but they kept looking at the past, you know.
Right. I think it'd be funny if someday someone came out and did one of those duets with footage of someone who's not dead.
There you go.
Who's still around and singing. They're like, I'm right here. And they're like, no.
The German synthesizer band Kraftwerk sent their dummies out on tour for them.
Really?
You know, and it was a good idea. Why you stay home?
I've done shows like that.
Tour.
It works. Now, okay, this is what I really want to talk to you about. You are both very opinionated. You're honest about your opinions, and you have written some very honest and sometimes harsh things about musicians. And occasionally you've heard from these musicians. They track you down. And we're talking about some pretty big people like Bono. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did Bono, you wrote something about Bono.
I did.
And he was not thrilled.
No. I'm driving up Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, and to a Cubs game, actually. I had great seats, box seats. And I get, this call on my cell phone. I pick it up, and I hear, Greg, there's a dark cloud over us. This heavy Irish accent. I go, what the heck? It's Bono. And it's like, you've really vexed us with what you wrote in the paper, and I'm just
Once he said vexed us, you knew it was Bono.
Like, yeah, it was just like...
Hey, you vexed us.
That was
you vexed us bad with your dark cloud.
It's inconceivable to these rock stars that somebody might not think they're God.
Right.
Well, and we're in the paper, so they know where to get us.
But you've got to be a little, because it's one thing when you're in your office and you're writing, I really don't like U2's latest album. But then when the phone rings and you pick it up and it's Bono, you have to be intimidated.
Well, I don't know about intimidated. You get to the point where you've had enough of these confrontations that when you write something, you always got to feel like, I'm going to be standing 5 feet away from this person at some point in my life, and I better be able to say it with some conviction. I at least better believe what I just wrote.
So how long did you talk to Bono for?
About an hour, and I was like, I gotta go. I got these great seats, and he literally.
You got off. You said I have to go. I'm watching a baseball game.
I told my wife that night. I said, I cannot believe I just blew off Bono, and he called me back the following Monday and said,
he called you back?
Yeah, come to the show.
I'm not done with you yet. I got more to tell you.
No, I got more to say. He set up a breakfast meeting. We literally sat there for 3 hours and talked about...
And ate Lucky Charms, yeah. Pink stars, green clovers.
And let me tell you, when you're in a restaurant with Bono, people know about it. It's like one of those things. Who's that ugly-looking guy talking to Bono?
Do you think you came to some common ground?
No, not at all. We disagreed the whole time.
Really?
So he's desperately still stink, and
Well, come on, people, they've had, good music in the last couple of years.
I thought they were one of the most important bands of my generation, and I think they made some great records. And then, that iPod ad, but what really killed me was, charging their fans, money to join their fan club, ostensibly to get tickets for their tour, and then not getting good tickets to the fans who paid this kind of money. I thought, you guys have become the Rolling Stones.
Right.
You've lost the plot.
Well, I pay people to be in my fan club. That's how I do it. You get $2,500 and just go on my website. You'll see. There are popular bands out there whose success baffles you guys. You just don't understand it, and it drives you probably a little insane. What kind of artists are we talking about?
there's a couple of bands we've been fighting about forever that we just completely disagree about. I don't understand the Grateful Dead at all. You know, I mean, it's all these people, the hippies out there twirling, and you know, semi-naked girls, and lots of good drugs. It's a great party, but I don't know why the band has to ruin it by playing for 4 hours, or before they broke up.
Okay. The opinions expressed here are not those necessarily of the host.
But you went on the road with them. I think they co-opted you.
I became a Grateful Dead convert. I'm not going to say if there was any chemicals involved, but I have to say, you know, the Miles Davis electric bands of the 70s and the Grateful Dead, the way those guitars were interacting, you know, it was no rock band has done what the Dead did.
Okay, well, what's another band? Let's really get people mad. I want letters coming in. I want people calling up. What's another band?
I'm sorry, I don't understand Dave Matthews. I don't understand this success. 55,000 fans in the stadium. You know.
What is it you don't understand? I mean, he's, you know.
I think the songs are there, but the 15-minute violin solos, I don't understand those. I don't get that.
So you don't seem to like instrumentation, the long periods of
the Dead. I think the Dead did it well, but there was interplay. You know, when the violinist in the Dead solos, the other four guys, you ever watch what they're doing back by the drum riser?
No.
The cracking jokes. You know,
Right.
I mean, it's like it's not a band anymore. It's
Well,
about
they have contempt
the solo
for the
thing.
audience too. They throw in little snippets of "Mary Had a Little Lamb" in the middle of their solo. It's you know, it's contempt. But you know, I mean, we always say, Conan, that we want to start the fight, we want to start the conversation, but our opinions aren't the end all and be all. I mean, obviously, when we did the radio show, we took a cue from Siskel and Ebert. You know,
Right.
I mean, they're heroes of ours. Greg edited Gene, and Roger's why I went to the Sun Times. But you know, those guys like know what they're talking about. They're on the mountaintop.
You're just trying to start trouble and then see where it goes.
Well, yeah, we're trying to start a fight. Everybody's an expert.
I have a
in pop
brother
music.
like that. I understand it very well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a classic band, and we may have some. You guys have a problem with the band The Doors, okay? Now listen. I'm going to risk some heat too. I do as well, and I always have, and I've talked about it. And people get really mad. I love their guitar player, Robbie Krieger. I love John Dennismore, the drummer. I think Ray Manzarek on the keyboard, great. And then Jim Morrison, all that kind of, hey, look at me, his mind is hopping like a toad. You know, hey, doony nani ne, hey, moshe moshe. You know, I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it, and I've said that before. I don't get Jim Morrison. I don't get why it was such a big deal. I think it's because he died.
Yeah. Well, the alcohol had a problem. You know, that first album I think was pretty great, and I got to say the use of it in Apocalypse Now, I still love the way the music of the Doors was used in that
But I
movie.
think it's the music. But whenever he starts,
he's
Father, I want to kill you.
It's like Robert
Like, please,
Bly
be nice to your
poetry,
dad. Come on. He's your dad.
A drunken poet. It's not a pretty
It's bad
sight.
drunken poetry, you know. He's like Robert Bly of rock.
All right, well, let's move on, because I don't like people assaulting drunkenness. It's a choice, and I think a good one. Are either of you guys in a band? Because you spend your life professionally criticizing people who make music. Are either of you guys in a band?
You know, I have to say I never had any interest in being in a band. I play piano, but I mean, I wouldn't want to be in a van with four guys 250 days of the year. I mean, that's hard work.
Have you ever played in a band before?
I'm not a musician, but I am a drummer.
Right.
You know. But it's sort of like the guys who cover the Cubs for the newspaper.
You know what? You're going to have to find your own way out of this building. I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you one bit.
The guys who cover the Cubs might play softball,
Yeah.
and that's how we play. I play music. I mean, it's just fun.
Right, okay. Well, Sound Opinions airs in select cities and on the web at soundopinions.org. You've certainly you've brought the fight here. You've stimulated some good conversation, so I do appreciate that. And give my best to everyone back in Chicago for me.
Thanks, Conan.
Jim DeRogatis, Greg Kot, our thanks to them. Catherine Russell's coming up. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Stick around.